You recognize that your business can be an expression and is an expression of your creativity, then now there's this other piece. But what happens is when building the business, people are focused on making the money, not seeing the business as the way that they get to express creativity.
This is The Deep Dive with Adam Roa.
And so for me, what's completely shifted, even in this podcast, bro, what you're experiencing right now is the shift of me going, okay, I'm devoted. And I talked to you about this. I had the ceremony where I devoted myself to creativity and said, my life is all about creativity from this moment forward. So what that means is I get to look at my podcast, my YouTube channel, my nonprofit, my online community. I get to look at these things and say, how is this an expression of my creativity? How is this furthering the spread of creativity on the planet? And so what did I do? I said, okay, this podcast gets to shift. This podcast gets to be an expression of my creativity. What does my creativity want? It wants to just explore. So this now podcast, instead of interviewing about your genius, becomes let's explore together. Let's make that now I come alive in these conversations, right? And so I still get to do everything I was doing, but instead of looking at it through the lens of how is this going to make me money? How is this going to grow? How is this going to whatever? I'm looking at it through how is this an expression of my creativity? Because I believe creativity and the expression of it is the thing that ultimately makes me happy.
And I love that. And you know, it's interesting because when you brought up what came up for me when you just said that, I'm like, you know what? It's so true. I didn't let go of creativity because when I think about entrepreneurship in itself, that literally to me was like my outlet for creativity. I mean, I remember being like, 18, 19 years old and designing websites and launching marketing campaigns and launching my first streetwear brand and designing the streetwear. I think what happens is like, when you start to understand the money aspect, like the monetization and the financial aspect, a lot of times you start to waver away from what is truly in alignment for you and why you're doing it in the first place, and AKA the creativity and like the passion and the why. And you start to waver for money. And that's where you get out of integrity.